So picture that first ceremony, the hushed church building beginning to fill with smiling people, eyes wide as they take in the visual feast held in each other's hands. Red corn poppies picked from a nearby field clutched in the hands of an apple-cheeked woman in a long wool dress. Purple Siberian irises, culled from the garden of a stone cottage, held in the fist of a bearded man smoking a gourd-shaped pipe. Water lobelias, still wet from the nearby lake, gripped in the sweaty palms of the little farm girl in her finest Sunday frock. Floral perfume in the air. They walk down the aisle and place their offerings into one giant vase resting on the center table. Words aren't necessary to explain to them that this symbolizes their willingness to join together in community. Words aren't necessary because they feel it. There is a moment of silence and awe as they view the unique bouquet before them, one that is dependent on every single flower, much as the church is the sum of all its unique individuals. After Norbert Capek prays over the vase of flowers, the church members approach the bouquet, and this time they take a flower from it. But they take a flower that someone else has brought as a testament to their commitment to joining forces in doing good in this world, no matter what their differences are. As they emerge into the sunlight outside the church, they hold in their hands a glorious, tangible reminder of their connection to each other. A lovely idea, yes. The idea that we can use nature as a metaphor for our own community, our own commitment to sharing with each other. There's nothing dangerous in that, is there? We're talking about people feeding their souls, not enormous man-eating flowers demanding, "Feed me," or oleanders transmitting their poison into everything they touch, or even art teachers like Mrs. Gora and schoolboys committing violations of floral gender norms. There isn't anything about a flower communion service that would scare men in uniforms who carry guns, right? Wrong. No. There is plenty there to scare them. In 1941, frightened by the popularity of Capek's church and its emphasis on liberal religion, the SS arrives at Capek's door in Nazi-occupied Prague. His flower service, with its celebration of finding unity within diversity, is the antithesis of everything Nazi politics stands for. Capek is convicted of treason and sent to Dachau concentration camp. When I first heard about Norbert Capek being taken to a concentration camp, I couldn't help but wonder whether his faith endured while experiencing the horrors that followed. In the dark of night, in the intolerable living conditions of Dachau, when he was cold, hungry, uncomfortable, did the message of his church still resonate with him? Did the flower communion, with its emphasis on community and sharing, seem trite amongst the stark realities of prisoners screaming through the night as they were punished for stealing discarded bones or even dandelions to eat, things that actually happened in the clergy section of Dachau? And did Capek hold on to his faith when he awoke on Good Friday to find 60 priests hanging by chains in the air, left there until they either died or were left permanently disabled? Could Capek have even held on to his humanity, much less his faith, during those dark times? This isn't the first time I've wondered such things. When I was 3 years old, we moved into a house across the street from the Schneider's house, a house that grabbed our attention from the start. Now, the Schneiders were a cheerful couple, neither young nor old. They spoke English with a noticeable accent and kept neat flower beds in front of their red brick house. But that wasn't what made the Schneiders' house interesting. What made it interesting was the children. There were children leaning out of the windows and dropping Star Wars action figures onto the driveway below. Children romping through the hedges to catch fireflies, lightning bugs we called them, and put them in the butter dishes with holes cut into the lids. Children folding up the bottom of their eyelids and chasing each other around like zombies on the lawn. And children wrapping pine needles in notebook paper and trying to smoke them inside the treehouse in the backyard. Yeah, they really did that, or tried to. Inside there were children racing Hot Wheels cars up and down the hallways. Children gathered around the TV watching Sesame Street or a forbidden slasher movie when left unsupervised. And children sending bald Barbie dolls to watery graves and soapy lakes made in bathroom sinks. In case you were wondering, the Schneiders ran a daycare out of their home. It wasn't long before I became one of those masses of children dropped off by my mom while she ran to the store or a PTA meeting. For lunch, Mr. Schneider would strap an incongruous ruffled apron to his very tall and bulky figure and make dozens of silver-dollar pancakes and sing old German songs that sounded exotic and familiar all at once. Mrs. Schneider always had multiple babies in tow, and I don't know how she did it, but she seemed able to change a diaper, break up a scuffle, and answer the phone all at once. And this was in the days when phones had cords. They were good people, solid, dependable, not perfect. Occasionally, Mr. Schneider yelled at the most intractable children, usually in German, which made it sound worse because we didn't know what he was saying. And Mrs. Schneider seemed tired sometimes, though now that I look back on it, I wonder how she wasn't tired all the time. But no matter what, they were always kind. I remember one day sitting on their living room floor trying to coax the Schneider's pet ferret out from under the sofa when Mrs. Schneider sat down to do some embroidery. She rolled up her sleeves, and for the first time I noticed the numbers tattooed on her arm. Later, I noticed there were ones on Mr. Schneider's arm, too. I asked my mother what those numbers meant. "They were prisoners in the concentration camp," she said. And then, seeing my puzzled look, she added, "A bad place, a long time ago." It took a few years before I really understood. And then I would think about the Schneiders and wonder how they had survived and how they had gone on after. How did they go on to wipe snotty noses and pick up toys for the millionth time and make endless stacks of silver-dollar pancakes? How does anyone go on after that? But that's exactly what the Schneiders did. They went on. They weren't superheroes or people that history books will remember in particular, but they went on. I learned then that people of ideals and principles can see the worst side of humanity and still emerge determined to make a difference and choose to surround themselves with life. Nowadays, I see the beauty of the Schneiders caring for so many children, watering and tending those small human buds that promise to someday blossom into beautiful flowers. So with that understanding of the resiliency of the human spirit, it didn't shock me that even within the walls of Dachau, Norbert Capek's commitment to Unitarian ideals stayed strong. This little man, Capek, barely reached over the pulpit. 70 years old, his eyes still bright despite the abuses he suffered, now actually composed inspirational songs for the prisoners to sing at the top of their lungs as they marched around the barbed wire enclosure. Many prisoners said they would have given up hope far earlier than they did had it not been for Capek's faith and strength. You know, I wonder how anybody can be that strong. And I'm humbled and proud that Norbert Capek's faith is the faith I have chosen. And I think of the Schneiders and my old art teacher, Mrs. Gora, and I look out at all of you and all of us in this together, and I think that maybe, just maybe, I could be that strong. The Nazis didn't let Capek's influence go on for too long. Eventually, they moved him to the medical experimentation section of the camp, where things I can only begin to imagine happened. Even then, I have trouble fathoming how anyone could hold on to our principles. Even then, just before he died, Capek wrote one final prayer. "It is worthwhile to live and fight courageously for sacred ideals. Oh, blow ye evil winds into my body's fire, my soul you'll never unravel." Norbert Capek was soon put to death in the gas chamber, giving the words, "Oh, blow ye evil winds into my body's fire," another layer of meaning. Perhaps he knew that would be the way he would go when he wrote them. Nazi court records show that it was, quote, "too dangerous to the right for him to be allowed to live." Here's a sentence I never thought I'd say. The Nazis were right. Capek was dangerous. Capek's flowers and their message of the worth and dignity of every person and the power of community was infectious and dangerous to Nazi ideology. Even today, we who follow in Capek's footsteps are dangerous to those who would stop us because we have a vision of diverse people being brought together and working for good. We are dangerous because, like the flower in Little Shop of Horrors, our souls tell us, "Feed me," and we listen and do. We are dangerous because, like the oleander, we affect everything that we touch. Though unlike the oleander, it isn't poison we spread, but the spirit of life itself. We are dangerous because, like Mrs. Gora and the 6th grade boy she inspired to wear blazing flowers on his book jacket, we wear our principles out in public proudly with the sun shining on them. We are dangerous because, like the Schneiders, we have witnessed terrible things, but we will continue to choose hope, to nurture the children of this world, to create a brighter future for tomorrow. We are dangerous, there is no doubt. When you take the flower today, allow yourself to appreciate the beauty of it, the hope and community each flower represents, but don't forget the danger attached to each of these flowers. Embrace that danger. Let it remind you that we have a message that 70 years after Capek's death is still a radical one. Be proud of that radical message. Wear it boldly like a peony or daffodil wears its vibrant scarlet or yellow petals. Don't settle for the status quo. Lift it, kiddo. Go out into the world and do good, dangerous things. Make that flower proud.